Okay, starting with the heart in the middle of my paper, filling up that composition and really drawing big. Again, this does not have to be absolutely perfect. So there's my big heart in the middle of the paper. Once again, if you are more comfortable drawing a heart, or not as comfortable drawing a heart yet, you could start with kind of a curved M like that. So it's kind of a curved M, or think of it as a flying bird if you've ever drawn a flying bird like that. Then I'm going to take pencil and on either end bring it down into a little point and bring it up like that. And that is another easy way to make a heart. Easy peasy. All right, moving right along, I'm going to work on that crayon resist. I'm going to get, I'm going to do a little bit different color. I'm going to do a purple. Now you might have watched the heart where I did the black shadow. So this is kind of similar to the black shadow, except for this time I'm just doing a purple shadow. So I'm getting just a dark color and doing a little bit of a shadow. So what that means, we're not doing an official shading lesson, but I'm starting down here a little bit darker, pressing down a little bit harder with that crayon, and then I'm going to lift up on that crayon as I move out. Okay, now I'm going to move up and I'm going to kind of keep going a little bit darker on those edges. And again, pressing down with my crayon at the edges and kind of lifting up as I'm going towards the center of that crayon. So you can see how it's looking darker at the edges and starting to look lighter as I'm going towards the center of that heart. All right, so you'll notice how I was kind of going back around and filling in and darkening in the edges of the heart. I am going to actually go ahead, see, I might grab this kind of light greenish color. Doesn't have to be any particular color. I might do a little outline going all the way around that heart. Doesn't need to be perfect. And I am pressing down with good pressure on that crayon, because I'm going to do a crayon resist in just a minute, so we need good pressure on our crayon. Okay, now I'm going to hop over to my paint, and this of course is our temporary cake paint, similar to watercolors, so we're activating that with water, and especially since we're doing a crayon resist, you want to make sure you're using plenty of water and plenty of paint. Every time my brush is leaving the screen, it is getting a little bit more water. So I'm going with my red. You don't have to do red, you could do any color. And going ahead and painting on top of that heart. And once again, you're going to notice how that paint or that crayon is pushing that paint off, saying, get off of me. That crayon really does not like that paint. So you see that paint just kind of beating up where that is hitting that crayon. I'm not going to go over that area any more than that, because I actually like how that paint is kind of beating up on that. So I don't want to sit there and try to drown my crayon with my paint. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Now the background, I could do something kind of crazy fun in the background if I wanted to. I'm going to keep my background simple. But if I wanted to do crayon or something in the background, I could do another crayon resist. Of course I could. It's completely up to you. I'm going to get that blue going. Again, every time my paintbrush is leaving the screen, it is dipping into that paint. And once again, painting with the tippy tip of that paintbrush and filling in this entire background. The nice thing about that little yellow outline around the heart is it's providing a little barrier in between my painted areas, or from this painted area to this painted area, so they don't accidentally blend and bleed together, and that's pretty cool. Hey guys, we're going to get started with our Gem Dine hearts. We've got a square piece of paper right here, and I am going to draw a really, really big heart that kind of fills up that square like so. Does not have to be perfect. Now, Some of you I know are really good with hearts naturally. Some of you might not be as comfortable with hearts naturally. So if you're not as comfortable with hearts, here's another easy way to draw hearts. You can start off with kind of a curved M shape, or if you've ever drawn a flying bird that looks like that, you start with that, and then you just bring those little wings down into a point like that, and then you've got a heart. So that's an easy way to draw a heart as well. Again, does not need to be perfect. Jim Dine hearts. Jim Dine was an artist who did a lot of just very simple hearts, but he made them so that they were really kind of shaded and shadowed and looked really, really cool. So I'm getting some of this black crayon, and the bottom of my heart, I'm going to make it kind of look like it's in the shadows. So with my black crayon, I'm pressing down a little bit towards the edges and kind of fading up. Now notice I did not go all the way around the heart with my black crayon. I'm just kind of filling in the very bottom. So it's looking a little bit like it's shaded or shadowed. I'm just kind of going back and forth with my crayon. You don't have to follow a certain pattern with that crayon. So you notice that I've started darker down here, pressing down harder with my crayon, and I'm lifting up as I go up. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to press down a little bit with my crayon, giving that little hardened outline up here. Kind of press down a little bit with my crayon over here and give it a little bit of a shadow right there. Now, and although this is not an official shading lesson, and we're not getting a heart and putting a lamp on it so we find our point of light and our shadows and all that, you might want to choose one side or the other to make a little bit more in the shadows. It's completely up to you. So this side, I might choose this side and just make it a little bit more in the shadows. Again, this is not an official shading lesson, so we don't have our light casting on a heart and we're not finding the official shadows and all that. We're just having a little bit of fun making a heart look a little bit more rendered and a little bit more dimensional by adding some shadows, especially around the edges. Now I want you to have a lot of fun with this heart. So there's really no set direction. I'm going to add a little bit more black in here. There's really no set directions that you have to follow, or even set colors. You don't have to make your hearts red. You don't have to make your backgrounds a certain color. So just have fun with these. So I have my kind of rendered heart right here. In the background, I might just kind of go in here. I'm going to make it look almost kind of like sprinkles on ice cream or sprinkles on donuts. And I've got this kind of violet colored red right here. I guess the official word is red violet for the Crayola crayons. And I'm pressing down pretty hard when I do this because I'm going to hit this up with paint in a minute and do a little crayon resist. You don't have to do that, guys. This is very much open-ended and up to you. This is just a quick little one-day project that's supposed to be a lot of fun. And you learn a little bit in the process. Okay, I'm hopping over to my paint now. Again, you don't have to paint these a certain color, but I am going to go ahead with some red in my heart right here. For this crayon resist to work, you need to make sure you're using plenty of water and plenty of paint. So let me get that in the screen. So I'm getting my paint out, and you want to make sure that you are using plenty of paint and plenty of water. So you can see right here, every time my brush leaves the screen, I'm dipping it in water and getting that paint activated. These are temper cake paints. They act like watercolor paints though. And I'm going to go ahead and just start painting straight over that heart. Now the fun thing is, that crayon is just pushing that paint right off. Now you might watch what I'm doing and say, ooh, I don't like that, and you don't want to do it, and that's fine. But you can see how that paint is kind of just beating up as it hits that crayon, because of course that crayon doesn't like that paint. So that crayon is saying, get off of me. And I like how that's doing it. So I'm going to keep going. Now if I want to make the center of that heart a little bit redder, I could go over it a little bit more, but really where that crayon is pushing that paint off, I don't want to go over it again because I like how it's making that kind of cool pattern texture with the little the paint beading up on top of it. So I'm going to leave that alone. Now I'm going to hop over into the background, and I might kind of just keep my background going with that purple. Again, I want my little sprinkles to push that paint right off, so I'm going to use plenty of water in my paintbrush and plenty of paint too. So every time my paintbrush leaves the screen, it is dipping into the water. And now I'm going to start to go over, and you can see how my crayon, once again, is pushing that paint right off, saying, get off of me. It really doesn't like that paint. Now, one thing you're also going to notice is I'm leaving a tiny little space right around my heart. I like doing that just because that gives the heart a nice kind of little glowing effect. Now, you don't have to do that, but it also, since my heart is still wet with that paint, if I touch this wet paint to that wet paint, the paint from my heart would run into the background, and I don't want that. Now, you might want that. You might decide, yes, I do want that, and that is fine. As I'm painting, I'm going to go over a couple different ideas that you could do. You could even have taken your crayon and shaded below the heart in the background to make it look like the heart was casting a shadow. That would be pretty cool. You could do a lot of different colors in the background, and that would be pretty cool. You could even, instead of leaving a little bit of space around the heart like I am when I'm painting, you might have decided to get an extra crayon and just go around that heart with the crayon and make it look like it's glowing.